Welcome into the Warchant.com report. Good to be with you as always. I'm Jeff Cameron at ESPN Radio. Those two guys, Ira and Corey, Warchant.com employees. That's how I describe them. Warchant.com. You got a lead writer. You got what are you, Ira?
I don't know, janitorial supervisor, I think.
Or something. Yeah, you guys, they're great. Read all the stuff. Go to Warchant.com. You guys know that. By the way, Florida State, Virginia, 8 o'clock ACC Network. Knock on wood, boys, that we get this one played. Of course, the last one was not, and thus we begin there. But before we do, I must remind you, this Saturday, 10 a.m., Tallahassee game day, myself, Tom Lang, conducting the pregame show well in advance of kickoff. You can watch it on Warchant TV on YouTube, Warchant TV for the pregame show, Warchant TV for the postgame show as well on YouTube, where you guys can call in and ask your questions. All right, as I said, ACC Network contest, 8 p.m. prime time for everybody to watch, Florida State and Virginia. A circus took place over the weekend, and the fallout from it continues at the time that we recorded this show. Obviously, Florida State finding out from Clemson's doctors on Friday evening, in fact, that there was a positive test for a reserve offensive lineman that had traveled with the team and practiced with the team earlier in the week. At that point, the game became in jeopardy, and it was deemed by Florida State's folks that it was too great a risk. With so few numbers of players available for Florida State currently, they couldn't afford to take that risk and really put into jeopardy the remainder of the season, and this Virginia game included in that. And so Saturday morning, the game was canceled, much to the chagrin, postponed, I might add, not canceled, postponed to potentially December the 12th, much to the chagrin of Dabo Swinney, who has spoken about it incessantly and said a lot of dumb things, as he's prone to do. I guess either one of you can start on that note, but the rundown tells me I should ask Ira or Corey. So, boys?
Ira, you go first. You're the janitorial supervisor.
This has been an interesting week. And I think from a perception standpoint, that when it originally came out, the timing was tough for Florida State because it came out Saturday morning. They finally decided Saturday morning to postpone the game. Well, that's like right before college game day is going on. Everybody's kind of waking up to start the day, and they're hearing the news that Florida State has not agreed with Clemson to play the game. And so all of a sudden, Florida State's the butt of all these jokes. Everybody's making fun of Florida State for not wanting to play a game where they're expected to get beat and beat handily. The reality is that was not the case. The reality was it was a medical situation. Clemson provided the information, as you said, that they had a player who had been symptomatic during the week, then I guess felt better. They practiced during the week, made the trip to Tallahassee, tested positive for coronavirus, and had to be sent back home. But at that point, there was concerns about the exposure and how that might impact Florida State's players. So FSU decides not to play the game. The problem is that perception was already out there. So as FSU starts to try to enlighten people, to talk to people in the media and others, explaining what really happened, now it turns into Clemson feels like they're being attacked, and Dabo Swinney feels like he's being attacked for running an unsafe program, which that you got to decide that on your own. But that's how he felt. So then he has now been on a one-man war against Florida State now for the last couple of days. And Florida State, I think, is done. They're not discussing it anymore. They still want the game to be rescheduled, as you mentioned, maybe for December 12th, because they want that home game. They wanted to play the game because that's probably up to $2 million in revenue, and they want to play it in a couple weeks. Dabo Swinney, I think, has made it clear he does not want to play that game. So that may have been decided before this airs on Warchant, but that's the only thing left from Florida State's standpoint, although Dabo, like you said, keeps wanting to run his mouth about it.
Corey, I'll ask you, will the game and should the game be played on December the 12th?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I would assume it's going to be played. It definitely should be. I mean, as Norvell pointed out on Monday, it's two teams with an open date. It's not like they have to move a lot of dominoes around. It's two teams. They both don't have a game December 12th. They both can play. Clemson, I know it's a challenge to get back to Tallahassee and play the game. Norvell even offered to chip in if Dabo's going to whine about how much it costs. The ACC, quite frankly, should chip in and pay for that, but whatever. Yes, it definitely should be played. It would make no sense not to play it. Zero. They both have an open date. So why would they not then play the game?
Yeah, and the concern, I think, from Clemson's standpoint is that they have the ACC championship game a week later. they would love to not have to play that week, travel, and then play a team like Florida State who's not very good, but it's still a physical game, and then come back 1 week later and play the ACC championship game. But the problem in their situation is Notre Dame already is playing that game. They're playing a makeup game that day. And it would, if Notre Dame didn't have a makeup game that day, I could see the league saying, you know what, we don't want to give Notre Dame an unfair advantage, because that weekend was left for makeup games. But Notre Dame has one. There's no reason to give Clemson that week off.
I could document just how bad, as we move on from this issue and the nonsensical babble and name conversation that is sparked by Dabo Swinney each day that goes by. I could segue to just how horrific this defense has been via numbers. I could go over those numbers. I looked them up prior to us coming on because this was a talking point, but I'm not going to lay them bare for you. You guys have seen the game. You've watched this team get blown out every week. You've watched teams do whatever the hell they want to do against Florida State's defense. Corey, what do you have to see in the next two games to begin to feel better about Adam Fuller and where they're going defensively?
Some stops, maybe some punts. That would be nice. Short of that, there's nothing that I can say. Like the defensive line, Durden's gone, Wilson's gone. I like the way they played against Pitt against the run. I like the way they played against NC State against the run until the very end. So maybe that's something to build on. The secondary, Hamza should be more, double his reps, and maybe Akeem Dent, Renardo Green are healthy and they get back. But if they're going to look like the same, give up 35 points no matter who they're playing against, 40 points, force maybe 2 punts, get 0 3 and outs, there's nothing that can really be salvaged. I'd like to see some growth, but I'm not expecting it. It's every week they get torched by whoever they play. Bailey Hawkman looked like Steve Young against them and then looked like Bailey Hawkman against Liberty. And it happens like that every week. So I would like to see some steps, but I'm not counting on it.
I would note that Liberty's defense is horrible, and yet that was a 15-14 game. You're correct, Corey. That's frustrating to see play out. It does consistently play out that way. Ira, if there is going to be a source of improvement, where on this defense do you expect to see it?
Like you said, if they do get some of these safeties back, Hamza Nasruddin played for the first time all season in that last game against NC State, but he only played 24 snaps, I believe. They're saying he's going to play at least 50, maybe more in this game. So that's important. If Renardo Green can play, that would be helpful. He's a guy that showed some promise earlier this season at safety. And then the linebackers, I think we've seen some improvement there from Emmett Rice in particular. They're not killing you as much as maybe they were in some situations earlier this year. Now you got Steven Dix and Amari Gaynor playing more. The defensive line, the biggest thing I'd like to see is pressure on the quarterback. They saw some signs of pressure on the quarterback in the last game, and as Corey said, the run defense has been getting better. It's not good, but compared to where it was in some of those games earlier this season, it has gotten more sound. So to me, I'd just like to see sacks, more pressure on the quarterback, and just continued physicality, because that's the issue this game. The issue with some of the teams they played earlier this year was those explosive plays. Virginia, it's more about that constant pounding. They're going to run the ball down your throats. And if Florida State doesn't want to be there, that'll be readily apparent.
Yeah, I don't think until we see a massive upgrade in personnel that you're going to get a lot of difference in terms of, or differences game to game in terms of pressure on the passer. They just haven't been able to do it. No matter if they bring pressure, they don't get home, and they certainly don't get it off the edge with the players that they roll out there. I just don't know how it's going to happen. But you're right, being physical, playing the game hard, stopping the run, it gives you a fighting chance to get off the field a little bit more consistently and give yourself a fighting chance to be in the game in the second half for the first time in a long time. We got to preview Virginia. We'll do it next right here on the Warchant.com report.
Are you the ultimate FSU fan? We're your ultimate Seminoles sports source. Subscribe to Warchant TV, where we bring to life the award-winning website, Warchant.com. Here you will find added opinion and analysis from the #1 team on the Florida State beat, a staff that brings over 50 years combined experience right to your phone or mobile device. Unmatched digital storytelling, original recruiting content, access to the top prospects in the nation, unflinching post-game wrap-ups, and the daily podcast Wake Up Warchant. All free of charge every day right here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and use the promo code WARCHANT30 for a risk-free 30-day trial of premium access to Warchant.com, home to the most active, passionate FSU community online, featuring exclusive insider access you won't find anywhere else. You're the ultimate Florida State fan? Connect to Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
Welcome back to the Warchant.com report. Another reminder that on game day, you can watch a pregame show, one that I do, and alongside Tom Lang, co-host. It is at 10 a.m. It's called Tallahassee Game Day, and you can watch it on Warchant TV right here on YouTube. That's at 10 a.m. this Saturday for a little counter-programming to College Game Day. Also, that night after the game, very, very late, if you're still up, maybe you're celebrating a big victory over Virginia and you want to celebrate it with Florida State fans everywhere across this great country, and they're all there on Warchant TV ready to line up and ask questions to Tom and Gene. You can do so this Saturday after the Florida State-Virginia game. But remember, that is an 8 p.m. kick on the ACC network, so you'll have to be up late. Kind of imbibe evenly over time. You can't get all crazy and expect to be there for the postgame. All right, Virginia. Cavs have been average rushing the football, 66th in the country. They're 45th in the country passing the football. Neither are all that great, but they have scored 43 points in their last 3 games, have averaged 43 points in their last few games. Now, one of those is against Abilene Christian. That certainly helps. What has been the biggest difference for Virginia's offense the last 3 games where they're averaging almost 20 points more per game? Corey? Ira?
Yeah. How about you go on the guy we agreed would answer that question 45 seconds ago?
I like the swerve.
I can hear my dogs barking in the back. I'm getting concerned about this, and I'm trying to keep my concentration.
Ira, go ahead.
I'm failing. Ira, your thoughts on what Virginia's done the last 3 games?
Well, I mean, I think it helps who they're playing. I mean, Abilene Christian, no disrespect on Virginia, but, Abilene Christian, and then North Carolina's defense is not very good either. They had scored 40-something points against them. I do think, as we talked a little bit in the last segment, Mike Norvell spoke about this week, is, when you watch them, when they get going, they really establish the run. And they've had some success with that. And they run it in a lot of different ways. It's not just a traditional, hey, this guy's our guy, and he's going to get the ball 25, 30 times. They'll run it from a lot of different players, a lot of different formations. They'll, they'll have a lot of direct snaps. They'll do different things in terms of, running guys in motion and do things to create confusion for the defense. Well, eye candy. I like to call it eye candy.
I was
Jeff.
just thinking, is that called eye candy?
And and they'll just really challenge the defense to, be sound, and that's been a problem for Florida State. I mean, so that's your concern with a team like Virginia. They're not going to out athlete Florida State. But you have to be disciplined. You have to be sound. You have to be physical, and that those have not been trademarks of this defense. I am curious to see. It is a game where you would think it's not. I would not expect Virginia to just run out and score 25, 30 points in the first half, and that's kind of the challenge Florida State's been in. These games haven't even been competitive. I suspect this is a game that will stay relatively low scoring for a while. So you'd like to see how Florida State handles that kind of an opportunity.
For those of us attending the game on Saturday night, 8 o'clock, could be great weather. Hopefully, knock on wood, no rain. Who are the players that we need to concentrate on, Corey, for Virginia that have been really the predictors of success for them?
Well, again, I think it does start with Armstrong at quarterback. He missed a lot of that middle window where they were losing games. I think that's the biggest difference these last 3 games. He is a running threat. He was good against North Carolina, but he's a dual threat guy. And then they have a running back. I guess he's a running back. He's listed as a running back who has 52 catches this season as a running back. So you're going to see a lot of and their tight end leads them in touchdowns with 5. They have one kid that's a big play threat. Lavelle Davis maybe is a big play threat that has 14 catches for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's averaging 26 a catch. But other than that, it's a lot of dink and dunk. You guys might recall the Virginia game last year in the fourth quarter where that kid threw – I think it was 25 7-yard passes in a row, just to the middle of the field with the tight end. That's their passing game. Short, quick passes, Alex Smith type, just check it down, keep the drive moving, and that's how and Armstrong's good at it. He's proven he's pretty good at it. So those are the guys, man. The Kemp kid has a ton of catches, and you can see that. Billy Kemp, he's all over that list right there. That's the guy that they try to get the ball to the most, but he's not a home run hitter type. he's a first down getter, and those are important too.
I do remember that game very well, as I was there in Charlottesville, sitting on the 50, surrounded by Virginia fans, as they were telling me that this game was theirs, that there was no chance that Florida State would get a stop. And it turned out to be accurate, unfortunately. Defensively, Virginia, by the way, isn't very good. They're giving up almost 30 points a game, over 430 yards per game on defense. That's not good. They were dealt a huge blow this week. They lost their captain, Charles Snowden. He leads the team in tackles for losses. He leads the team in sacks. He is now gone. What does that mean for the Cavs? I'll ask you, Ira.
I lost that one. I was hoping you were going to pick Corey.
Coin flip.
Yeah. No, it's a huge loss for them. They're not very good defensively anyway. Now, what you never know is sometimes when a team loses a key player, a star player, sometimes everybody else rallies around and kind of increases their level of play. But that's going to have to happen. I mean, their defense has been really poor in a lot of areas. The one issue, they've really struggled against the pass, and you just wonder if Florida State can exploit that. I mean, that's the problem for Florida State in this matchup is, we still aren't 100% sure that Jordan Travis is 100%. They're saying he's going to play, that he's going to be available, and has looked good, but we'll have to see. He's been banged up the second half of the season in particular. And then if he can't play, they only have one other scholarship quarterback, Tate Rodemaker, who they're talking up as much as they can, but we've seen him play. He's struggled. He's thrown 3 interceptions in very limited duty. So it's just in this receiving core has not been consistent or dynamic, and you lost Tamari and Terry. So it's just, the way you'd like to attack them is through the air specifically, and it's just hard to know whether or not Florida State can do that.
They're 113th in the country against the pass, to Ira's point, Corey, but Jordan Travis can make people miss in a phone booth as a runner. He's a below-average passer, period. So do they have the personnel? Can they exploit this huge weakness for Virginia? If so, how will they do that?
Yeah, it's hard to say because, Virginia has gone up against, Trevor Lawrence and Sam Howell and Derek King. Like they faced some really elite quarterbacks. Derek King not as high as those other two throwing the ball, but those are elite guys. Jordan Travis can hit guys when they're open and not when they're like barely open. If they're wide open, he'll make a throw and you can hit them. And that's what you wonder is they're going to be so cognizant of the run. Will they get some one-on-one matchups where their receivers can make guys, not just make guys miss when they catch the ball, get wide open and give him an easy target to throw to? That's what I wonder. Florida State still has a ways to go there. I don't trust those receivers to make the requisite plays to make Virginia back off defensively from just going a wholesale trying to stop the run. So you'd like to think that they can make some plays in the passing game, but I still think it's going to mostly rely on Jordan Travis and LaDamian Webb's legs.
An opportunity for a lot of these young receivers who are getting a lot of playing time right now to win a battle or two and create some sort of belief that moving forward you can be part of the solution. But right now, I agree, Corey, we just haven't seen the consistency there within the receiving core. But Virginia gives you opportunities, a lot of one-on-one opportunities there, so we shall see. When we come back, obviously, we have to look at the impact of this game, if there is one, and then also make our picks as we wrap it up on the Warchant.com report. Welcome back to the Warchant.com report as we wrap things up. Florida State, Virginia, 8 o'clock, ACC Network, Tallahassee Game Day pregame show to be seen on Warchant TV here on YouTube if you'd like. Also, the postgame show follows with Tom Lang and Gene Williams. All right, the impact of this game. If Florida State were to win it, guys, or would a blowout loss, if you want to look at it the other way, change your opinion of the players and this program at all, one way or the other?
I'll jump in here, Corey.
Okay.
I don't, a blowout loss wouldn't change anything because we've seen plenty of blowout losses. So that would not change. Virginia opened up, I think, as a 10-point favorite. So it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't make me think less of this team. But if they were to win this game, and really, I think in these last couple of games, as much as Florida State wants to remake that Clemson game, and they need to, it's $2 million. They desperately need to make up that game. But if they could somehow win both of these last two games, which isn't it's not out of the question. I wouldn't expect it. I mean, they're going to have to play well to beat Virginia. I think Duke's probably 50-50. But if they could win these games, it would do a lot for you going forward. I mean, they've had so much the last few weeks, particularly, you've had so much adversity in terms of players, opting out, players being out for the season. Just been, the blowout losses. To get something positive going into the offseason and recruiting, I think would be a big deal. I don't think it changes anything. I don't think it necessarily, makes you think, okay, everything's fine now. But they need something good to happen. And that's my only concern about playing Clemson is if you do win one or two of these next two games, and then you got to go play Clemson, that'll be a little bit of a damper on any positive momentum.
Yeah, lofty goals there to try to get a win here at the end of the season against either Virginia or Duke. You're surely not going to beat Clemson, but I do think it might reveal a little something about the culture shift if they were to rise up, play hard, play together as young as they are, and find a way to win a football game. By the way, gentlemen, I watched Syracuse the other night get beat 30-0, and I thought to myself, Florida State was scheduled, if things had played out as planned, to have been playing for Syracuse on a Thursday night this past week. I'm fairly certain after watching that game and several others that Florida State's not the worst team in the ACC. It's Syracuse, just a side note.
Well, there you go. That's something to hang your hat on.
Yeah.
We're number 14.
Yeah. Syracuse mustered 130-something yards against Louisville's defense.
Yeah, they're playing out the string. Syracuse wants no part of this. And I do think to that point, I don't even know if it's a win necessarily. You want to see a win. Obviously, results matter. I'm not here saying they don't. But if it's a competitive, close game and they show fight and competitiveness and they're not down by 25 points like they are seemingly every week, even that NC State game, we liked the way they finished. They were down 35-9 in the fourth quarter with NC State throwing passes into the end zone. And if Brownlee doesn't make that crazy interception, they go down maybe 42-9. So it wasn't a whole lot to feel great about. I think if you can be in a close game, whether you win or lose, if you don't just capitulate and you do fight and you play hard with a limited roster, which they have, I think that's a good sign. Whether it wins or losses, what is it, 2-9, 3-8? It's still a terrible season. But I think that would be something to build on. The last quarter of the NC State game, if that can carry over into Virginia, you play that hard the whole time, and then that carries over into Duke. And then the Saturday of the Clemson game, you call that off again. And then all of a sudden you feel really good going into the offseason.
How great would that be if Clemson goes back down and then they call it like 8:30? Hey, guys.
No, not 8:30. Let them get dressed and on the field and be, guys, sorry, we have another problem.
There's a problem here. Your protocols are not holding true. We're going to have
somebody called in a bomb threat, Dabo. Sorry.
Are you going to criticize us for caring about our fans who can be born their players? Is that what we're going to do? Okay, so last week we made picks. Ira, you weren't here for the picks, I don't think. I successfully noted to Corey that Oklahoma would blow Oklahoma State out. They did. He and Gene got that terribly wrong. That was the highlight of the week. Notre Dame.
What about the other games?
I don't remember the other games.
Oh, okay.
You guys were crazy wrong about that game, as I said you would be. Notre Dame minus 4.5 against North Carolina.
Who are we going to, Corey?
You guys.
I'll lead. Hey, Ira, I'm going to answer all these first.
Okay.
I'm going to answer all these first. You run off what I say.
Or we can rotate.
No. I go first on all of them.
All right.
I'm taking Notre Dame. I'm taking Notre Dame in that one. I think Carolina will put up some points, but Notre Dame's good. They're going to win by more than 4.5. Something
that intrigued me, Jeff, you might have noticed this as well. The opening line was like 7.5, and it got hammered to 3.5. Yeah. The early money was definitely on North Carolina. I'm going to go with them. I'm going to go with the Tar Heels.
I'll take Notre Dame 4.5. I hate that North Carolina defense. It's impossible for them to get stops consistently enough. Kentucky's at Florida. Florida's given 23.5. Kentucky just got done getting a beating of a lifetime like Alabama. Florida's not Alabama, but they're pretty good. I'll take Florida and give the 23.5.
Yeah, that's a lot of points, man. But Kentucky's offense is always bad, and they're missing a bunch of guys, I guess. We'll take Florida. Florida's trying to get that kid a Heisman. So they're going to put up 50 points.
I'm taking the Kentucky and the points. Kentucky does look bad right now. I'll give you that. Okay. But I think at some point Florida's going to have a little bit of a stumble. Another close call, and I'm going to take Kentucky.
Oklahoma's given 10.5 at West Virginia. West Virginia's defense has been one of the surprises in college football. They've played very well this year. That's not their MO typically, but I've been pretty impressed by that. 10.5 seems a little bit weighty, but I'll give it. Oklahoma's really rolling on offense right now. The Rattler kid's begun to figure it out. I'll take OU and give it again.
I'm taking the Mountaineers. Taking a home dog, getting plus 10, 10.5. I know, Homer. I know Oklahoma crushes everyone, but there's a chance that West Virginia can hang with that tough Oklahoma defense.
I'm with Jeff and the Sooners. Boomer Sooner.
There he is, Boomer, big time. Pittsburgh's at Clemson. Clemson's given 24.5. They're very angry, obviously. I would like to take Pitt here because I don't know what Clemson's offensive line is going to look like. They tend to bathe in COVID and spend a lot of time together. I'm not sure they're all going to be available. But assuming those mouth breathers even care to protect those kids, they'll run them out there anyhow. So, I mean, I guess I'll give the 24.5.
I don't have a problem with mouth breathers if they're also mask wearers. That's the issue at Clemson. I will say, no, you're giving all the points. You just don't care about these spreads.
No.
Man, that is a bad matchup for Clemson's offensive line. I think Pitt's gonna, but can Pitt score enough?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Hey. You watch Kenny Pickett come into the stadium.
I did, up and down the field, that kid. I don't see Pitt score more than a couple touchdowns. And I think even if Clemson struggles a little, okay, I'm just on the principle, I'm taking Pitt. I'm taking Pitt just on principle.
I'm citing COVID-addled offensive line play from Clemson that is a reason to lean Pitt.
Okay, all right, fair.
I'm taking Pitt as well. I think Dabo's distracted. I think his players are distracted.
Yep.
I'll take the points.
All right. Alabama's at LSU. How about this? LSU, the defending national champions, are catching 28 at home. At home. I'm going to take Alabama minus the 28.
Of course you are. There is no spread that you run. Have you taken a dog yet?
No, not today.
Okay, all right. I like – no, you're right. I'm taking Alabama. That's a big number, though, man. Even like 35-10. You're not covering that.
Defense, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, you're right. Okay, Alabama.
I'm going with Alabama as well. Clean sweep. Roll Tide.
We want to remind you, Warchant TV on YouTube, 10 a.m. pregame show, myself, Tom Lang. Also postgame show, Tom Lang doing double duty. He'll work with Gene Williams after the game, taking your calls, your questions, queries, quibbles, all that good stuff. Right there on Warchant TV on YouTube for the postgame and the pregame show. Saturday, 10 a.m., the fun begins.
One more note on that real quick, Jeff. Sorry to interrupt you. But you can also watch the replays throughout the day. The show is on at 10 a.m., but if you're locked into game day, that's fine. But it sometime between 12 and 7 or 8 before Florida State plays, if you get bored with any of the games that are on TV, you can watch that show on replay. And then also the postgame show, you can watch it whenever you want on Sunday on demand as well.
I think the key when you're watching the pregame show in particular, as you do throughout the day, one of the best ways to enhance your experience is to tip us. So you have plenty of opportunities to just hit that tip button over and over and over again. And if you'd like to flag it, for example, if you say this is for Jeff, you can do that too. And that's very exciting for you out there. So I hope that you'll engage.
Did we recuse ourselves from picking the Florida State-Virginia game? Did we not do that on this show? Yeah, no, I mean, that's cool. I'll recuse myself.
We should pick it.
All right, Florida State's getting 9.5, 10. It matters. Gene listed it at 9.5. If it gets over 10, I'm going to take Florida State. At 9.5, I'd take Virginia.
Well, yeah, because they're the favorite. You just giving point. You're giving like 120 points this week.
Johnny Public over here. Johnny Public.
Because Florida State stinks, Corey.
I'm telling you, I got a feeling they're only going to lose by 8 points this week. I got a feeling we're looking at like a 34-26 type game. Jordan Travis plays. I think they're going to put up some points, and they're going to keep it relatively close.
I got a feeling it's a good Pearl Jam song, so I'm glad that you repeated it over and over again. Maybe that's a good vibe.
Yeah.
I thought it was a Black Eyed Peas song. Anyway.
Maybe it's a Florida song.
Yeah, could be a lot.
So can you make a bet only if Jordan Travis plays? Like if you go to Vegas, can I be like, hey, can I
caveat?
Yes. Can this action go away if Jordan Travis doesn't play? Yeah, I actually think I kind of like Florida State in this game. I'll be honest with you. I think Florida State may pull off the upset, shock the world, and beat the Cavaliers. So I'm going to take Florida State and take the points. If Jordan Travis doesn't play, though, maybe I'll watch your pregame show again and I'll just start tipping you.
Hit that tip button, baby. Yeah. Pound it. There you go. But not Lang. Cameron.
Gotcha.
Yeah, make it specify.
That's what you want to hit right there. Yeah, then the greatness really comes out. All right, for Corey Clark and Ira Schoffel, and our thanks to Aslan as well, of course, and all of you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, boys. Go Noles. Until next time, be well, everybody.